Well, hello, boys and girls. I'm so excited to talk to you about something that I have really loved. The cello. You see, I learned a few instruments when I was young. And when I was an adult, I also wanted to learn another instrument. I decided that even if I'm a little bit older, it would be very good if I could learn something new, something wonderful, something beautiful. So you know what I picked? I picked that I wanted to learn how to play the cello. The cello to me sounds so beautiful, so wonderful, and that you are learning the cello is so exciting for me. In these videos, I just want to share a little bit. I'm not an expert, I'm not a professional. I'm a learner, just like you. And I want to share a few things that I think about when I play the cello. First thing that I think is the cello is something so special that I treat very careful. Before I would ever touch the cello or play the cello, I make sure that my hands are very clean. I wouldn't want to eat some Doritos and have some snacks and have any Cheetos and have all this stuff on my hands. Oh no. When I think that it's time to practice the cello or play the cello, one of the first things I would do is I would make sure that I wash my hands with soap and water. I wouldn't want any wet on my hands after I'm done washing them. No, I would dry them very good. When my hands are all clean and smooth and dry, then I would feel like it's a good time for me to start getting ready to play the cello. The next thing that I think about with the cello is I think that I want to be very careful with the cello. You know how, I don't know if you've ever had a baby brother or a baby sister, and when it's time to hold the baby, all the moms and all the dads are very careful when they give the baby. They say, make sure you hold the head of the baby very carefully because you wouldn't want the head to wobble around. Make sure that you are maybe sitting down and not moving with the baby because we don't want to have any chances that we could ever drop the baby. Oh, that would be so awful. And same thing with the cello. I try to make sure that the cello never bumps anything, that nothing ever sort of like falls onto the cello. Carrying it is very fun. You get to be really proud of carrying the cello, and other people get to see you with a cello, and it's really exciting. And when I do, if your cello comes in a bag like this, I hold it sort of right here on my shoulder, and there's usually like a little strap right here, and so I hold it very close to me, and I hold this strap, and then I can stand up and walk with it. The front of the cello is very, this is where the strings are underneath the case, so I especially try not to put any pressure on it. I try not to push because the sound of the strings can change, and I don't want to change the sound of the strings, so I try not to ever push on the front part of the cello at all. If I do have to pick it up, I wouldn't pick it up from the front at all. I might use the sides. I might use the strap that's on the back. And when I do put my arm across, I'm very careful that my arm doesn't push against the string. I don't want anything to push here. Well, when you found a nice quiet place, a nice place where you can concentrate on your music, and when it's time to take out the cello, and when your hands are very clean, and when you're very gentle with the front of the cello especially, and making sure that it doesn't bump, then it's time to get started. The first thing that you can do, since another special part of the cello is the bow, is you can take out the bow first. So reach inside before you unzip the bag, before you get the cello out, make sure that this comes out very carefully. When I think of the bow, I usually think that I wouldn't ever really want my fingers to do so much touching on the front of the bow. This part of the bow is the part that touches the strings, and sometimes there can be, even after our hands are clean, there can be little oils on our fingertips. So if I don't have to, I try never to touch this front part of the bow. The wood that's on the back, fine to touch, fine to touch, fine to touch. Over here on this end, we definitely want to touch it because this is where we hold the bow. But this part of the bow, just never really have any reason to touch it. So I don't grab it like this. I don't hold it like this. I just am very careful to maybe hold the bottom part or maybe touch the top part, but not this hair, this bow right here. Okay? So maybe you can put this aside when you pull it out. Put it gently on something so that it doesn't fall. And when you're ready to take out the cello, I sort of try to hold from the back of the bag, maybe like this, but remember I don't want to put any pressure on the strings, or especially down here where the bridge is. And so I put it on my lap. People do it different ways, and whatever your cello instructor, your cello teacher tells you to do, that's what you should do. But what I do is I unzip it all the way, and that way the cello can start peeking out. Hello, cello. Hello, cello. Hello, cello. And oh, it's such a surprise. It's so wonderful. So what you can do is when you do reach inside, I wouldn't touch any of this here. I would never pick up the cello down here. I would never pick up the cello right here. Nope, nope, nope. I'm not touching this stuff because this is very, very, very fragile, very delicate. So I might hold the cello up on the neck of the cello right here. So I grab the cello and then I can start unwrapping it. If it's a little too heavy for you to do it that way, you can totally lay it on the ground and open up the bag all the way and carefully hold it. If you're taking it out from the bag that's on the floor, I would put my hand down here on this thing, and I'd put my hand up here on this thing. But again, when you pick it up, definitely don't pick it up by the strings. Definitely don't pick it up here. This is all just very, very, very gentle. Remember I told you the sound of the strings can change. So if you're pushing or shoving, this thing can even get like knocked out of place. And although your teacher could fix this for you, it's better if you don't ever have to fix something like that. Excuse me. So you have the cello out. Remember, your hands are clean, and you're just feeling so excited that you get to play. You're feeling so excited that, wow, so fun. And before you get the bow out, if you want to like hear the strings, it's so special. You can just take your finger like this, and maybe right about here you can just pull, just do it like a tiny little pluck, tiny little pluck, tiny little pluck on the strings. Watch. Oh, it's so fun to hear the sound. And your teacher can make it so that all the strings, especially if you're starting, your teacher will make sure all the strings are sounding nice before you get it home. And if your teacher does this for you, you never have to worry about touching these. You never have to worry about turning those. If you have a little brother or sister, you wouldn't want them to start grabbing these and turning these, because no, that would change the sound of the string, so we don't want that. And down here there's these little knobs, and your teacher will teach you about them. But if your teacher does this for you and you don't do it yourself, you don't even have to touch those. It should be all ready. And there's this little peg that comes out at the bottom. So you can turn, you just turn it just so it's loose. You don't have to like turn a lot. Just turn so it's loose, pulling it out. And if you pull it out too much, some of them will come out like this. So if that happens, you can put it back in, but you don't even have to pull it out all the way. Just pull it out a little bit. Your teacher will tell you what's a good size for you. I put it so that when the cello is on the floor, that this first little thing is close to my ear and laying across my lap. Your teacher will tell you more about that. And then you're sort of ready. All you have to do is take your bow, and your teacher tells you about tightening it, right? So you take this little screw part here and turn, 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 turn. You don't want to go crazy with turning because there's a part where you don't want it to like go too tight. Mostly, if you just take your little pinky, you don't have to touch the bottom part of the hair, but maybe right through the middle, and if your pinky slides through and touches both sides, then it's perfect. And you don't want this to like start bending like the other way, just like this, just so that there's enough of a space and tight here. And that's how you care for a cello. In one of the other videos, I'll tell you something about starting to practice with some things. But remember, when you're using the cello, very, very careful with the strings. When it's time to put it away, very gentle. I wouldn't want this to bonk anything. I wouldn't want to. Remember, it's like your little baby. It's like your little, like you take care of it. You don't want anything to happen to it. Twist this a little bit so it's loose. Slide it back in. Very gentle. My hands are clean. My hands are gentle. And you can put it back in the bag. Remember, when you're picking up, you don't want to grab anything right here. Up here is fine. I put mine in so gently so that even the bag isn't bumping the top. Make sure that this thing is through the little hole right there. Zipping it up. And you're ready to put it in a safe spot. When you put it away, don't leave it out where lots of people are walking. Don't leave it out where lots of big brothers or little sisters or little brothers are running and playing. Now maybe put it in a spot where no one is ever going to bump it, making sure that nothing ever bumps it, especially on the front of the cello. You're doing such a great job. I'm so glad that you're learning the cello. You do such a wonderful job, and it's so fun to learn. You're doing wonderful. See you on the next videos.